Hello, 8th graders. It is Friday, April 9th. We have a distance learning day for everyone today. So we're going to start off class by watching this video of instructions, do a quick review of what we've been talking about this week, and introduce the assignment for work time today. Let's get started. So for today, we are going to keep working with our 4 key questions that we have been referring to during our Great Speeches unit. Number 1 is, who is it that this person is trying to convince? So for every speech that we look at, thinking about, who is the speaker's target audience? Who are they most trying to persuade? Number 2, what is it that they want? So the speaker is obviously trying to use words to fulfill a certain message or purpose. So what are they trying to do? What is their goal? What is it that they want to have happen by speaking out? Number 3, what current events are they referring to? So all of the speeches that we are using in this unit are set in specific moments or events that are important. So we need to not only think about the speaker and their words, but what's happening around them in the world, in society, or in the community at that time. And then finally, number 4 is the question that we added in just this week. What rhetorical devices does he or she use? Today, our speaker is a he. What rhetorical devices do they use? So thinking about what are those actual tools, the ways that they manipulate their words and manipulate their sentences to try to get their point more clear. So our speech for today that we'll listen to, and you'll do this independently on your own, is called On the Death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This was given by Senator Robert F. Kennedy, we'll abbreviate it RFK. And this is a speech that Senator Kennedy gave the same day that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Remember, it was just one day after he gave his I Have a Mountaintop speech, which we looked at 2 weeks ago. All right, so before we introduce the speech itself, let's remind ourselves what our 6 rhetorical devices are. Number 1 is including historical texts and references. Whenever a speaker refers to something from history, we call it a historical reference. Speakers do this all the time. They make connections between things that have happened in history to the current day and how it has impacted it. Number 2 is referencing religious ideas. Do they ever refer to God, the Almighty, heavens, or any kind of faith-based idea? Number 3 is repeating key ideas. So this is when they bring up an idea in their speech and then they repeat it or refer back to it over and over again. It might be one sentence, it might be a certain word, but they repeat it more than once. Number 4 is stirring emotion. This is when a speaker does their best to try to tap into the audience's emotions. Okay, so do they say things in a certain way? Do they bring up maybe stories or examples that they're trying to stir up emotions? Number 5 is calling the reader to action. This is when the speaker speaks directly to the audience or the reader, depending on if we're listening or reading the speech, and they want them to do something. They may even use the word you, like you need to get up and get moving. You need to make your voice heard. So they talk to the reader directly and they give them specific instructions or ideas on how they can take action. And finally, number 6, acknowledging other perspectives. This is when a speaker actually says what someone might be thinking against them, the opposing side of the argument. Okay, they are acknowledging that people may disagree with them. And then usually they have a little argument back as to why their ideas are still the best. It shows that they have noticed the other side and why people might think against them. Alrighty, so now that we've reviewed all of that, let's go ahead and preview in Schoology here what your assignment will be with Kennedy's speech. For today's work time, you will read or listen to a short speech by Senator Robert Kennedy called On the Death of Martin Luther King. This speech was given the day MLK was killed on April 4th of 1968. The PDF of this speech can be found in today's folder. Below is the full video. It is about 6.5 minutes long. Step 1 will be to watch the video and open up the speech document. Step 2 will be to complete this Google form where you will share your thoughts and what rhetorical devices you saw and heard Mr. Kennedy use in his speech. Now, a couple resources here. Obviously, you have the actual YouTube video of this speech in full, right? You will definitely watch this, but I would recommend having the PDF of the speech open at the same time to get ready, so that if you need to refer back to specific things that he said, it's usually easier to do that on the actual written speech. And another resource for you, if you need a more in-depth refresher on the 6 rhetorical devices, you can click here. This is a link that will bring you to the slideshow we used this week of all of the rhetorical devices examples and definitions. So if that part is still being a little confusing to you, or you just need some help reminding yourself, you can click on that to go to the slideshow. Let's preview the Google form that you'll fill out after you're done watching and reading the speech. So there will be just a few questions here. Type your first and last name, give the class period, and then there are 3 questions to respond to. What is one powerful idea or phrase that stood out to you in this speech, and why? What is one rhetorical device used in his speech? Tell me which one you noticed and what effect it had. Another reminder, if you need a refresher on these, there is a slideshow in today's Schoology folder. And finally, do you think this speech was effective or impactful? Why or why not? Please try to answer with several sentences there. You can hit submit when you're done. All right, quick refresher. Today you will start by watching the speech by Robert Kennedy on the death of Martin Luther King. It is 6.5 minutes long, and the PDF file of the speech will also be in this folder. When you're done watching, you will do the Google form questions that we just previewed here together. Okay? As always, please remember to do the attendance check-in question. This is really, really important on Fridays because we're all at home. So please do this as well. Please let me know if you have any questions as you are doing your work today. Email is the best way to contact, and I'll get back to you quickly. All right, happy speech viewing and writing, and have a great weekend as well. Thanks.